Underdog Stuff with Gregory Nesmith. Journey of an Underdog special summer series. This is a place where we are going to share about the grind, the hustle, and the unexpected fun of going from underdog to being on top. And I want to first just shout out everybody who was here last week, because last week was the test run of the Journey of an Underdog series. And I appreciate you for stopping in. And just so you know, the replay of that episode will be up on YouTube and on iTunes, the audio of it, this weekend. And this week, we're back at it again. And technically, last week was the test run. This week is the premiere. And we'll be taking your phone calls today at area code 718-239-9200. And new to this week, we'll be taking your online comments on Facebook at facebook.com/Gregory Nesmith, GregoryNesmith. Episode theme for today, all kinds of pride. All kinds of pride. And to go on the journey for this episode, which is part 2 of Journey of an Underdog series, we have in the building, in studio, which is very cool because last week, my first ever guest on this series was Monique T. Marshall of Black to Business, and she called in. And shout out to her for calling in. This week, our guests are in studio. And there were 2 other people on last week's show, but I didn't call them guests because they're home to the Matrix. And we actually had King Kaleem and Cool Ass Trev join us for the Unwind segment last week of American Dream Radio. With that, today's guests are Jamil Eric Wilkins, athlete, activist, coach, and vampire slayer. We'll find out more about that later on. And we have AJ Johnson, founder of Overtime Athletics, who will join us for the Unwind segment. Today's topic, or theme, all kinds of pride. What is pride? Pride is kind of like the deep satisfaction, pleasure we take in things, and oftentimes specifically the deep pride, the deep pleasure and satisfaction we take in ourselves. And it can be a challenge to get to a place of pride in oneself. I think back to being in foster care for the first few years of my life, to then being adopted, and oftentimes wondering why my biological brothers and sisters got to stay with my biological mom, but I didn't. And so I made up some stories about maybe I'm not that special. Maybe I don't have such deep satisfaction and pleasure in who I am. Good news is, my biological mom and family were doing the best they could do at that time. And I've actually met them now, which is also cool. But I've also realized that, you know what? I am kind of special. And the fact is, actually, we all are, which is why I end every show with the line, can't nobody do it like you do it, nobody. Because it's true. So let's say you had a moment where you didn't have such great pride in yourself. And then you got over it, and you're like, yeah, I'm ready to go out and take on the world. I got a lot of pride in who I am. And then you hear all kinds of sayings from your friends, maybe your coach, or from your parents, and they say things like, do you? They say stuff like, if you like it, I love it. My name's Bennett, I ain't in it. All those different phrases are about just have pride in who you are until you get out into the world. But then, you might have all kinds of pride. But then the world gets funky when you're different. If I pick up this bottle with this hand, no big deal. I pick up this bottle with my left hand, and all of a sudden, not too long ago, a couple years, centuries back, I might get slapped, beat for doing something with my left hand. I'm left-handed. 1 in 10 folks are born left-handed. What happened to if I like it, you love it? Or do me? Just because I'm left-handed and different, all of a sudden that pride I may have had in myself starts to take a little bit of a hit. One quick aside, I actually didn't even plan on telling this story. I'll never forget in elementary school, early on, we were doing arts and crafts. And I'll never forget, the teacher passed out the scissors and people start cutting stuff up. I might have been in kindergarten. I'm young at this point, 5 years old, 4 years old. And I remember trying to cut the piece of paper and nothing was happening. And I'm looking around, I'm like, oh my goodness, everybody's cutting through this paper. Something must be wrong with me. Obviously, it just turned out I didn't have left-handed scissors, but it happens. Anyway, back to differences and the world all of a sudden trying to knock at your pride. Not too long ago, JFK ran for president in the 70s. I don't know if you know this, but our country is majority from a religion standpoint. Most people self-identify as Christian. And underneath that, you have things like Protestant, Baptist. Can you imagine that JFK was worrisome to people because he was a Catholic? Folks were like, I don't know if we can have a Catholic for president. Again, probably had pride in being a Catholic, the world chipping away at it. So now you can't be left-handed or Catholic. And then let's not even talk about Obama. He looks different than every president we had up until we got to number 44. Not even having a white mom was enough actually for him. He had differences. And again, the world tried to knock him down. Then, to use a social media example, I saw a meme once on social media and it said, if you post that you got a new job, you get like hundreds of likes. Folks is excited, ecstatic for you. You post you just started a business. Let's say you just posted you started a business called Overtime Athletics. You might get 5, 6 likes. Again, being different, because most of us work for somebody. And then the world again tries to chip away at your deep satisfaction and your deep pleasure in who you are and what makes you you. Ever heard that phrase, love is love? Love is an action. We can't pick and choose who we love. Do you? My name's Bennett, I ain't in it. And then if you choose to love someone of the same sex, all of a sudden, folks got problems. You see, I've been there in different iterations of this thing called being different. And so underdogs, whether you're left-handed, whether you are a different religion than most, whether you are biracial, and we don't even get to be biracial, it's the one drop rule. If you got a little bit of black in you, you're black. If you are an entrepreneur, if you love someone of the same sex, if you're part of the LGBTQ community, folks try to chip away at your pride. But today's show is dedicated to all kinds of pride. And I am grateful to have 2 guests in the building who will talk about how their pursuits or who they are and what they're about and what they do may be different than everybody else or not like the norm. And we'll talk about how they continue to persevere, and we'll talk about some of the challenges too. And hopefully they'll also share some of their tips on how they go from being underdog to on top. One quick shout out before we take a quick break and continue with the rest of the show. On Underdog Stuff, I like to highlight the different groups of underdogs. And the calendar has an awesome way of doing that, to bring certain groups of underdogs to the forefront. February. I'm still tight that it's the shortest month of the year. Black History Month. And for those of you who follow my radio show, you know that it was both in the foreground and in the background throughout all of the episodes I did on my live radio show on WHCR 90.3 FM, The Voice of Harlem, and we celebrated Black History Month. March comes. Women. Shout out to all the ladies out there. Regardless of race, sexual orientation, ethnicity, what country you live in, it ain't easy being a woman. Oftentimes there's attacks on their body, on their rights, shoot, even on their pay. And in March, I made sure Underdog Stuff, we highlighted Women's History Month. Fast forward to even last month, May, Foster Kid Month. I was in foster care for a couple years before being adopted. Shout out to all the foster care kids out there. Definitely an underdog situation. And then we get to June, which is two things celebrated in June I want to just acknowledge. One is, it's Black Music Month. And we get to celebrate the contributions of Black folks to the music here in the United States. And I believe that holiday, or the month of June being Black History Month, was established back in the 70s under Jimmy Carter. So today I'll be playing some music. I normally play hip hop and a lot of rap, but I'm gonna play a little old school, some 90s mix, because I wanna shout out a lot of the genres of music where Black folks have made contributions. And then also in June, speaking of all kinds of pride, June is also LGBTQ Pride Month, which is an opportunity for us to not only celebrate, but observe the history of gay, bisexual, transgender history, and also the gay rights and civil rights movement related to LGBTQ community. And so shout out to all the underdogs out there that want to keep going from contender to on top. This is the place where we talk about the grind, the hustle, and the unexpected fun of going from underdog to on top. We're going to take a quick break. I think we're going to play a little Lauryn Hill as we go to break. And then when we come back, we got Jamil, Eric, Wilkins, activist and coach in the building. More Underdog Stuff with Gregory Nesmith, Journey of an Underdog, after.
DSN, the Matrix Studios Network.
Welcome back to Underdog Stuff with Gregory Nesmith, Journey of an Underdog Summer Series. Something special for the underdogs out there. Live every Friday at the Matrix Studios, and replay of the show every weekend on YouTube, the video, and on iTunes, the audio. I appreciate all you guys for coming on the Underdog Stuff journey with me. And you might have noticed there's someone sitting next to me now. Jamil, Eric, Wilkins. Track athlete, HIV/AIDS activist, USATF certified coach, fitness model, and at some point I'm going to want to get a little bit more clarification on Vampire Slayer.
All right.
Just a little bit. But I want to start out with, we played Everything is Everything in the break. And the reason why we played that is because before the show, I wanted you to send me some songs that represent the soundtrack of your life.
Yeah.
I actually believe, what's it Kanye says, every superhero needs theme music?
That's right.
I actually think we all should have soundtracks to our life. And this was one of the songs you sent by Lauryn Hill. Shout out to Lauryn Hill and Black Music Appreciation Month. What is it about that song that it is part of Jamil Eric Wilkins' soundtrack?
Well, thank you for asking, and hey everyone. That going back to what you said earlier about defining pride or what pride means to you, I chose that song because I'm seeing it as my own way of defining my pride, and what that looks like is acknowledging or being aware and understanding and accepting the position that I stand with who I am and where I am in the world, understanding that there are changes, I'm changing, and a lot of it has to do with who I am and where I choose to go. And everything just sort of flows with everything else that I have on my playlist.
Very, very cool. And just for folks, if they're wondering what else might be on your soundtrack, what are a few other songs on Jamil Eric Wilkins' soundtrack to your life?
Let's go with Eminem, Lose Yourself, and Eminem Till I Collapse. Just a couple more.
Okay, good stuff. Again, thank you for joining us on this theme show of all kinds of pride.
Thank you for having me.
We talk about folks have a certain pride in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go out in the world, and oftentimes there's some people trying to chip away at that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play a quick clip
Okay.
of James Baldwin, actually. And he talks about how he's different and whether or not he hit the jackpot or not. Let's go to clip 1 of James Baldwin and then more with Jamil Eric Wilkins.
Now, when you were starting out as a writer, you were a black, impoverished homosexual. You must have said to yourself, gee, how disadvantaged can I get?
Oh, no, I thought I hit the jackpot.
Oh, great.
It was so outrageous you could not go any further, It had to be, so you had to find a way to use it.
Well, now, we talk about differences.
Mm-hmm.
James Baldwin, activist, writer, and many other things, talked about how he was both poor, black, and a homosexual. And talked about how he hit the jackpot. Now, if you could, for the underdogs out there, what are some of the differences you might have that you have encountered sometimes the world trying to knock you down?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. So, on top of being poor myself in my own way, I am black, and I am gay, and I'm living with HIV. And there was a time where I said, you know what, just keep it coming, if, let the ball continue to roll, because nothing else is, just keep adding to it, because nothing else clearly is going to keep me down. So when he said he hit the jackpot, I'm thinking, well, where do I stand then? Because
Mega Millions?
Right, and it's funny he says that, because some time ago I spoke about how people in those 3 different communities, black, HIV, and gay, look down on maybe the other one. So maybe a black person may look down on someone who's gay, and someone who's gay may look down on someone who's HIV, who's living with HIV. And I'm just thinking, contending with those things is challenging, but then you add the virus itself on top of it, and it's sort of like you have this internal struggle as well. So it's just coming from both ends, and I'm just thinking, I don't know at which point I started to develop the mindset to fight against those things, or for myself mostly, but there's just, I'm just willing to just take the hits and just keep on moving forward, and just get up and keep on moving forward. So it's thanks, James Baldwin.
Hey, and thank you for going there and sharing. Before we talk about the fight, and you mentioned the fight, and you do fight, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on this show. But for those out there who might be losing the fight right now, can you share at least a moment when you felt like either giving up or that, man, this is tough? Can you share maybe one of those moments about how you felt? Because I want folks out there to know, like, it's okay if they're feeling like they can't fight right now. But then they also figure out that there's a comeback coming.
That's true. So thank you for asking. A good time was when this is before I started medicine, and I just had a whole bunch of things going on in life, a lot of stress. It took its toll, and I was just shot. My body was just shot. I was just week. I lost weight and I lost my appetite, and I was just by myself in my place, and it was just hard to get up. I just couldn't move, and I was thinking, man, this is a really low moment right now, and because the virus just skyrocketed, and I was a runner for a long time. And I remember getting up because I really wanted to move in a place or return to a place where I was running again.
Yes, but one thing though, while you were still down though, and before you got up to run, what were you saying about yourself?
I was saying, it was back and forth. So that's right. So there was that internal struggle. I was saying, you deserve this. This is your fault. You had this coming. There's no way out of it. But then the other part of me said, no. You've had that moment. Now it's time for you to choose where you want to go now. You could either let your situation break you down, or you can choose to make it better for yourself. And I said, I want to choose to be that better version of myself that I know I can be, because I know what that looks like, and I will return to that place. And so I did that. So I got up and I said, all right, I'm gonna do everything. No matter where, I'm gonna do everything in my power to move forward. And here I am,
running. Now,
yes.
I always find it interesting when I read someone's bio, what order they put things in. And you've alluded to this old idea of get up and run.
Right.
And in your bio, the first thing you put, not activist, not coach, not vampire slayer, but you put athlete. And I know one of the things you do as an athlete is run. What role has running played in you going from underdog to on top?
All right. So I was a runner before anything. All right. That was the very first thing. I remember being in high school, just starting off as a runner, and my knees just go out. I didn't know what to do. I put ice on it, and I separate myself from the team in order to heal, and I just throw myself against the lockers, and I just fall to the floor. And I remember wanting to do better. I was never an athlete before then, and this was over 10 years ago. And for something in me said, keep going. This is where you belong. This is the right fit for you. And before I became an activist, or before I was diagnosed, that's where I stood. I stood as someone who just wanted to continue finding the right fit for himself and fighting for that authenticity. And so being an athlete is important to me because it helped me build confidence. It helps me show up in a position where I can help other people, where I can stay strong for myself and help other people build their own strength and confidence.
I love it. And I like to consider myself an athlete. But the good news is I have you here, Jamil Eric Wilkins, activist and coach, who's a real track athlete. And later in the show, we have AJ Johnson, founder of Overtime Athletics, who also is a real athlete. And I'm going to ask AJ this question later, but as you talked about running, it sparked this question of what's a lesson that you believe people can learn about life that you've learned from running?
That if you don't like the hand that you're dealt, then change it and write your own destiny. And in doing so, that takes time. And I wrote the other day that define your success and measure that based on however you want to. But success for me the other day was just doing a little bit more to become a better runner. And I don't have to win a gold medal, but I did not like being a slow runner, so I took the time to be faster. So I wrote my own destiny, and then I just had to understand, or came to the understanding that it takes time for me to get there. I can't rush the process. I must trust the process and just do a little bit every day to be better, and then I will get to where I want to be. And so that is what I would say to other people.
Trust in the process. And sports is one of those places where there's a certain amount of discipline and practice that lasts so much longer than the actual performance. I think about folks who run marathons and they're practicing for months just to run for a few hours. I think about football players practicing 5-6 days a week just to play for 3 hours on a Sunday. Crazy. Couple quick things before we get you out of here on today's episode, which is all kinds of pride. This month, we said it's Black Music Month, but it's also LGBTQ Pride Month.
Yes.
When I say that to
Yes.
you, what comes to mind for Pride Month for you?
What comes to mind for Pride Month? The march is always the first thing that comes to mind. I just go on the Pride March at the end of the month, and it's just we just spread ourselves out, New York City, and we get to just show people that we are here, and our existence is important, and it's okay for us to be who we are, because in the end we are just human, and we do have an important role in life the way a lot of other people do, but mostly just for visibility. We are here, and we're standing up for for who we are. We have the right to, we deserve to be here just like everyone else. So yeah, and we've come a long way, and we're still moving forward. So we're here and we're not stopping. We're continuing.
Very cool. And one other question. We talked a little bit about your journey and how you kept going, what Pride Month also means to you. But I know you also do stuff in the world. Right? You're not just an athlete and a vampire slayer. You're an activist, you're a coach. There's things that you create and do. What is one of your next projects that's coming up? And how can folks get more Jamil Eric Wilkins?
One of my next projects is actually showcasing athletes who are living with life-changing events. And maybe not just athletes, but people who are thriving with life-changing events, whether living with HIV, living with kidney disease or cancer, just people who are saying, yeah, I am rising above my condition in order to put myself first and show the world and show my condition that, I am here to not only, as Maya Angelou would say, my mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. So my project is to showcase those people in order to just spread more hope in the world.
Good stuff. Jamil, I want to thank you for coming through to Underdog Stuff with Gregory Nesmith, Journey of an Underdog special summer series.
Thanks for having me.
And I just again, grateful to know you. I'm so grateful that the IPEC coaching certification program brought us together, and that we could have this moment where you could share your story with the underdogs out there, so they know that the grind, the hustle is worth it. And even if it can be challenging, that folks can come out on top. They can hit the jackpot.
Right.
And keep on going. So thank you, Jamil Eric Wilkins, for coming through. We're going to go to break. It's Black Music Month, and I know I play a lot of hip hop, but we're gonna play a little old school, outstanding Gap Band R&B just to show some love to all the black music out there. And coming up after this break, we got AJ Johnson, founder of Overtime Athletics, to talk about one of his differences in the world, and that's being an entrepreneur. And we might even talk a little NBA Finals for the Unwind segment. More Underdog Stuff with Gregory Nesmith, Journey of an Underdog, after this break. Welcome back to Underdog Stuff with Gregory Nesmith, Journey of an Underdog special summer series, where it's a place to share about the grind, the hustle, and the unexpected fun of going from underdog to being on top. And you might have noticed we have a new person in the hot seat over here.
Switcheroo.
In the underdog seat. AJ, founder of Overtime Athletics.
Yes.
And also just one of my peoples who I've known now for over a decade.
Yeah, about a little more than 10.
Man.
Too long, man.
Yeah, I used to beat him up on the basketball court.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not. But I appreciate that you would indulge me in that. Today's show, all kinds of pride.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You get your pride. Do you. You like it, I love it. You go out and be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us work for people. And then there's a small percentage of us who want to go out and do our own thing. And I joked earlier in the show that you can post you got a new job and get 100 likes. And you can maybe post that you started a company and you get 5 or 6. Am I making that up?
You are 100% right. 100%.
Talk to us first about if that did happen to you, how did it feel when you probably had a lot of deep satisfaction and pleasure in, I'm AJ, I'm going to go out and do this. And then all of a sudden, maybe the reception wasn't as warm as you might have hoped.
Okay. It's interesting because, when I started Overtime Athletics, which is a basketball training company, I didn't necessarily intend for people to buy into it because I am attracting a small group of people. I wanted to make sure I broadcasted and let everyone know that we were here and what we were doing. But I kind of am a specialty niche market kind of company. But taking another step, when I officially launched my clothing line attached to my company, I wanted to spread the word and give people another option, another quality option. And although it's not, my bread and butter, the take on it for the people who do support it, love it. But it hasn't been as overwhelmingly marketable or taken from the people I would intend it to be taken from. So I'm not salty about it or anything like that, but it's just interesting, right? And we dig into this whole LeVar Ball issue.
And by the way, though, it'd have been okay if you were salty.
Well, you know what? This is not me, right? I do my thing, and I do my thing for the people who can appreciate it, and if they don't, it's fine. I understand it. People don't have the money. People are stuck in their own brand. I get it. But back to the LeVar Ball comparison, it's interesting to see how everyone on your IG, all your friends are, I support this, I support that. And then you like, interesting.
And for folks who may not know, LeVar Ball is the father of 3 gifted and talented basketball players.
Very gifted.
And one of his sons, Lonzo Ball, is about to go into the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And they have started a company called Big Baller Brand. So instead of going with the Nikes or the Adidas out there, they're creating their own brand, just like AJ is creating his own brand.
Absolutely.
In the space called culture basketball athletics.
Absolutely. And I think it's a phenomenal thing that he's doing, and he's kind of setting a trend, or he's actually starting a trend for young entrepreneurs coming into the game where they can market their own brand initially. But it's interesting to see the love someone will get that's not associated with your circle, but you're in the circle, and they're just like, oh, good job.
What do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because if you did know, you'd be like,
Right.
we should write a paper about it.
I know, right? I'll find a
the
way.
world that we solved it.
That to me was the most troubling thing about the whole LeVar Ball issue. It wasn't necessarily the fact that he, to me, overpriced his products and is taking himself out of the market for our people, but it was interesting to see the support that he got, at least from the people I'm associated with, when the support for people in our circle is limited.
So then, I don't think you're the first person to ever go, man, I'm not getting the support that I may have hoped for.
Oh, absolutely not.
But you still keep going.
Absolutely.
What keeps you going, even when sometimes the world is trying to potentially not give you that love back? We talk about you got your pride, and then the world kind of chips away at it. How do you keep going when at times the world may be, in different ways, and not even intentionally, maybe chipping away at some of your pride and what you're doing?
Because I have a plan. I have an agenda, I have a plan, and I have goals and dreams. I mean, just because I'm not a billionaire today does not mean I won't be in 5 years. You know, it doesn't stop my flow. It doesn't stop me from giving a quality product. And I know that quality over time, people will buy into. You know, no matter what it is, no matter what product, no matter what company, no matter what industry, product always lasts. So that's what I try to give with my training sessions. That's what I give with my clothing line. That's what I try to give with my my basketball club. I try to give quality so that quality will last.
So 2 things. When you become a billionaire,
Yes.
will you still come on my show?
No.
See? That's terrible.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
And then can you teach me to shoot like Steph Curry?
Yes.
Hold on, you're not going to come on my show, but you get...
For a phenomenal fee.
You ain't right. that ain't right. We're here with AJ Johnson, founder of Overtime Athletics, talking about his differences of going out and creating his own thing instead of working for somebody and some of the challenges that come along with that. But one of the things that keeps him going is he knows his why, his mission. He's got a plan in what he's doing. And he's going to be a billionaire and never come on my show again. But he will teach me how to shoot like Steph Curry.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a quick break. And speaking of Steph Curry, for the unwind, we're going to talk a little NBA basketball because the finals are finally happening. And we'll get AJ's take on the NBA finals during the unwind. Quick break with some 90s music mix because... it may play, but we're going to get some 90s songs for this quick music break because it's Black Music Month, and we're going to celebrate a range of black music, not just the hip-hop I normally play every week. More Underdog Stuff with Gregory Nesmith, Journey of an Underdog, and AJ coming up after this break.
Clocking ya, Versace shade watching ya. Once the grin, I'm in game begin. First I talk about how I dress is this and diamond necklaces.
Let them know that you're too much, and this is a beat they can't touch. Yo, I told you, you can't touch this. Make it think of money things. On me, on you. Yeah, what it's gonna be.
Pump up the jam, pump it up while your feet are thumping. And the jam is pumping. Look ahead, the bride are jumping.
Come on, baby, kick them daisies. Lead them girls when they do so. I want you to lead them girls when they do.
It's happening in my own time. If I had wings, I would fly. Let me contemplate. I glance in the cut and I see my home name.
16 in the and 1 in the hole.
Girl, what makes you think you can deal with me? Do you think you can do it?
Well, come on. Been around the world, nah. We've been player hating. I don't know when, I don't know why.
Everybody's saying, cause we don't give a damn about a thing. I will be a freak until the day, until the dawn.
DSN, The Matrix Studios Network.
Welcome back to Underdog Stuff with Gregory Nesmith, Journey of an Underdog series. Today's show, All Kinds of Pride. Shout out to Jamil Eric Wilkins, who joined us early in the show, activist and coach. And now we have AJ, founder of Overtime Athletics, in the building. And we were talking about entrepreneurship and his journey of keeping his pride as he goes on that
Pride
journey.
to the side.
Yes, keeping it alive. But now it's time for the unwind. Because it's Friday, and we do this show live every Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. And the unwind is because you can't be saving the world and fighting for stuff every second. Every now and then we get to take a break, laugh a little, talk about some of the things we enjoy, and not always looking to go out and be an activist, or I'm doing coaching, or you're doing coaching in your way too. So we're going to talk a little unwind, and that means we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects. We playing basketball. NBA Finals.
Okay.
Golden State Warriors. Cleveland Cavaliers. The rubber match. Meeting for the third straight time in the finals.
Yes.
Potentially all-time greats playing. Steph Curry. Kevin Durant.
2.
The King. LeBron James.
3. No, the King now?
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm just saying how people address him, not how I address him.
Oh, okay.
And there's been a lot of questions floating around. And so since I have both you as an athlete, also a sports commentator, on-air
Yes.
personality, and owner of Overtime Athletics. I want to ask you this question. Whose legacy has more to lose in these NBA finals? Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, or LeBron James? Who has more to lose in terms of their legacy as an NBA ball player?
Kevin Durant. I think that's the easiest question. Easiest answer. Why?
I was
Because
about to say, you said my question was easy.
why? Because Steph Curry, I don't think is put in a bubble where he's considered the best of, or he made a transition to be with a team that's the best of. LeBron James is widely considered the best player in the world. He's taken a team who people consider not to be so good to the playoffs 3 years consecutively. So I think his legacy is pretty much set whether he wins or loses. Kevin Durant is the one player that I think has the most to lose because he left a team that was successful to join a team who was the best team in the league, broke the regular season record to win a championship. So if he can't go to that team and then ramp them up to go or to win the championship, I think he then becomes a pun.
So KD.
I think KD has the most to lose.
You know, there oftentimes we disagree.
Often.
Yes.
To say the least.
But in this case, you finally got it right.
Oh, okay.
KD, I use the example, when you don't have a lot of money in the bank, if you lose a little bit of money, you can go broke. You got a lot of money in the bank, you lose a little money, you still got a lot of money in the bank. Steph Curry, 2-time MVP, one of those times unanimous.
Wow.
Also has a ring. LeBron James, multiple MVPs, multiple rings. They got money in the bank. KD doesn't have much money in the bank, so a loss for him means he could go broke, so to speak, real quick. AJ, I'm glad having you on today because finally we can agree on something, when it comes to basketball.
Something.
Although, I do have one more question for you, and we'll see if we agree on this. Who's going to win the NBA Finals, and in how many games? Now, remind you, this is recorded, and folks are going to be able to look back at this on YouTube.
I think I can
search
edit this.
Underdog Stuff with Gregory Nesmith, or iTunes, the audio. Search Underdog Stuff with Gregory Nesmith. And just because I know you and we're friends and hang out, I will remind people in a various amount of ways on IG, go to your social media. Who's going to win? How many games?
Cleveland Cavaliers.
Rashad, cut his mic.
7 games. I'll go one deeper. I put this on my Facebook yesterday. I give you predictions. Warriors game 1. I was right about that. Cleveland game 2 and 3. Warriors game 4 and 5. Cleveland 6 and 7.
Cleveland is going to win the next 4 out of 6 games?
Yes.
Against a team that's 13-0 in the playoffs.
They're going to win. Adjustments. Here's my take.
This is the AJ I know. Being wrong about sports.
Here's my take. I believe that the Warriors are a great team. I also believe the Cavaliers are a juggernaut as well as being a great team. I think they're going to make an adjustment. I am hoping that LeBron, I'm not a big LeBron fan, but I expect LeBron to make an adjustment and then change a few things that they made mistakes on yesterday. I've been wrong before.
Say that again?
I've been wrong once or twice.
Let me get the record straight here.
Okay.
The Golden State Warriors will win in 7 games.
No, that's not what I said.
On their home court, KD will finally exercise the curse of LeBron James, and some of the Cleveland Cavaliers role players will have a average or below average game on the road when they're going to be needed to pull it out for King James and Kyrie Irving.
Can we make a friendly wager?
Not on camera.
Something friendly.
But yes, or we'll do like
nothing monetary.
We'll like bet some Mountain Dews or something like that.
I'll do you one better. If your team wins, I will gladly, although I always do it anyway, I will gladly promote all of your shows on all of my social medias for a week.
With you wearing a Golden State Warriors shirt
Golden State
and hat, yes.
if Cavs win, you wear overtime all week and promote everything I'm doing.
Well, I'm gonna wear it anyway, but yes, I will wear overtime on the show.
Okay.
And I will. You put
That's
a
fine.
cap here, a whole
There
bunch
we
of
go.
stuff.
That's
all right?
no said.
And quiet as kept. We're gonna do that anyway.
Okay.
But it'll be fun to have this bet going on.
Absolutely.
With that, I want to thank you, AJ, for stopping
Thank
through
you.
for the unwind and for the overall theme of
Absolutely.
all kinds of pride.
I also want to say congratulations. This is an awesome platform. You're doing great things. I'm very happy to call you a friend.
And I appreciate you.
No problem.
And I appreciate Jamil. Come back, sit on the camera while we do the close, just so everybody can see you.
Join us, brother.
So, a couple things, closing thoughts. First of all, folks are going to attempt to knock our pride down.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way of the world. But a couple ways to keep fighting or getting through that as underdogs is to find your purpose. And I think, AJ, you mentioned that inside of the conversation about why you keep going, because you have a plan. You have people you want to serve. Jamil, Eric Wilkins, you have people that you want to serve. You have a purpose, a why. I also say to folks, be yourself. Be authentic. Because if you try to act like somebody that you're not, it's not sustainable. And lastly, and this one to me is probably one of the most important, is find your crew. Because when times gets tough, it's good to be around people who are like-minded, who share some of your same values, who can pick you up when the world might be trying to knock you down. And so I appreciate you guys being part of my crew and the Underdog crew and sharing your stories today. Also, shout out to all the folks who were following along on Facebook Live. I saw Joseph, John, Kirsten, Sharice, the whole gang. Appreciate you. And again, replay of this show will be on YouTube and on iTunes this weekend. And you can catch the show live every Friday, 1 to 2 on The Matrix. Gregory Nesmith, Journey of an Underdog, Underdog Stuff. And I leave you with my favorite quote, which is, underdogs, can't nobody do it like you do it. Nobody. We came in as underdogs, and the goal after every show is to leave as champs. We out of here with the champ is here. See you again next week.